Hi there everyone, and welcome back to Axon Gamers. Today I want to do another gaming memories episode, similar to the one I did with Chrono Trigger last month. So let's talk about Castlevania Symphony of the Night. It's another classic, of course, and another one that I have a lot of memories with, so let's get to it. So where do I want to start when I talk about this game? So first and foremost, I do not have a physical copy of the game itself. But I do have ways to play it, and I will cover that throughout the video. But my first memory with the game was at my friend's place. His name is Alvaro, and he was the guy back then who had the PlayStation. Me and my other friends, like, we had the Game Boy, and he did as well, of course. All of us was playing Pokemon and stuff, but he had the PlayStation. He got it from his father over in Spain, where they actually it was very common to modify consoles. I heard afterwards, this is something I learned recently, that it's very popular over there, and the PlayStation was no exception. So he would get this PlayStation modified with like this chip inside, so it can play burned games and also out of region games. So he had a North American copy, like a burned copy of the American version of the game, and there's not a lot of differences between the European and the North American version. So you might ask, why do I know that it was a North American copy of the game? Well, so maybe you know the video cords for the consoles we usually got back then with the consoles, the yellow, white, and red ones. They're called composite. If you know that they're bad nowadays, like they're pretty bad, and maybe you don't think so, but what made them even worse back then was that with the PlayStation, if you were playing out of region games, we wouldn't get any color in the game. So the copy we had for Symphony of the Night was actually in black and white. But it's such a good game anyway, you know. In these kind of videos I want to talk about my memories more so than the game itself, but let's briefly cover the game. So it has such great exploration, and just going through all the environments, and since there's a lot of variety environment as well, even though the game was in black and white, you would explore each and every area, and while doing so, leveling up, beating monsters, and getting new weapons. So we would look for more and more enemies and bosses, and on our journey get new weapons like axes and swords and stuff like that. So we could see those details still, even though we didn't have any color for the game. Sounds funny, right? But my friend Alvaro, he was actually the one who played the game. I would only watch him play. I actually didn't play Symphony of the Night for much later. I maybe tried it out once or twice at his place, but I had just as fun watching the game, and I still do to this day. Many times, I have no problem watching people play games. It's you still have all these great music and everything in the game to appreciate. Anyway, so where do we go next? It's another thing about the game. It was so cool that he would keep playing this game for a long time. So every now and then when I visited his place, he would have these new familiars. If you play the game, you know what I mean. Where you can have summons, small creatures that follow you around, and those are somewhat hidden. You can beat the game without getting those. So him finishing the game and then keep playing it, and we would find out all about these secrets. And yeah, I always had the feeling that Symphony of the Night had endless potential. There was always something I didn't know about the game, and eventually we would get the cloak. I think it's Joseph's cloak or something. So the main character Alucard in this game, he has a cloak, and this one in particular you can change color, and we would see that because when we like increased and lowered the bars in the settings for the colors, you would just get like darker or lighter. So we always like wondered what this would look like if we had the game in color. One of like all the things we were looking forward to. And the next memory is funny because in school one day, I believe his name was Jack, but a guy who was in the same class as my friend, he actually had the game, like the PAL copy of the game. So he would he would like say that his game was in color and that it was much better and everything, and I was so excited, but I didn't know this guy. So my friend was super excited to go to his place and try it out, and I was like just waiting for him to tell me how great it was. But it's funny because when he got back, he actually complained more about how slow it was. And while I never saw this for myself, it's funny because European games are quite slower than North American ones. Maybe you heard about the 50 and 60 hertz in games. It's just so funny that it's something I usually complain about, but he's saying that. I thought it was funny. So we kept playing the game, and one day he told me that like the game is now in color, and I wouldn't believe him. But the thing is, he got this RGB SCART cable, and it increases the image clarity by quite a lot for every single game. Like if you have composite cables and upgrade to RGB SCART, you're getting a vast improvement. But what was so great was that with RGB SCART you would get, or we back then would get color in the out of region games, which were quite a bunch. We like he had a lot of burned burned discs for his PlayStation, so we would replay a bunch of games, and going back to Symphony of the Night in particular, and like love what we saw, and a already fantastic game got even more impressive. This might sound so silly to all of you, but it's great memories and very very nostalgic to me. And a story about that very PlayStation that we played on is something I want to talk about another time. So I will save that for next time. But just briefly mentioning that I do have that very console in my collection, and I'm very happy to have it. It's incredibly nostalgic, and also it still runs fine. It plays all the games I want to play on it from every region, because it's still the same modded PlayStation. So I'm still using it to this day, and this is one of the controllers we had back then too. It's still in great shape. It's pretty incredible. But as you can see, it doesn't have the analog sticks which the DualShocks have nowadays. So this is how we played most games. And then he would eventually get one for. There was a game called Ape Escape. Which required sticks, so he would get a controller like that for that game in particular, where that would be like the standard from then. But this was still a very good controller, and this is the one I use. I for games that do not use the analog sticks, I much prefer this. Maybe for nostalgia mostly. But back to Symphony of the Night. Another fun memory was that I would play it on emulators a few years like after that. I was still very young, and then eventually play it emulated on my, because first I played on the PC for just a bit. Seeing it so much over at my friend's place, I didn't feel like playing through the whole thing, so I just tried it out. And then I did try it out again when PlayStation 1 games started to run perfectly on the PSP. So I would bring Castlevania Symphony of the Night like everywhere and play it for a bit here and there. It was great. It was really really nice. And then my girlfriend at the time, she actually had the game, like the real deal. So that was the first time I saw a physical copy of the game for the PlayStation. And there has been ports since. But what was so cool was it like it's a very beautiful cover art, and there's a funny story about that particular copy as well, which she told me, and I might share that one as well. So I asked her like where she picked it up, and like it must have been very expensive because it was a very rare game, and I believe it's still very rare to this day. And she told me that the sticker, like the price tag on the game, it said 7.99 Swedish crowns, which is like $80. But the 7 was like, she couldn't tell if it was a 7 or a 1, and I like the people at the store probably made a mistake, so she got the game for 199 crowns, which is 20 bucks, which is super cheap, especially back then, because I don't know what the game goes for today when we have like PSN copies and like ports for other systems and remakes and stuff, but back then it was like a €150 game, so so I always thought that was very funny. Just another memory with the game, you know. So moving from there to when I finally actually got the game and played the game myself, this was much later. This was only like 5 years ago or so. So pretty recently. I got this right here. This is Castlevania Dracula X Chronicles, and why it's called Dracula X Chronicles is because in Japan, Castlevania Symphony of the Night was known as Akumajo Dracula X, and there's another game which is called the same thing, but they had subtitles. So the first one was Chino Rondo, which is Rondo of Blood, and then we had Symphony of the Night, which I cannot remember the Japanese title for, but this one is so incredible because this has Castlevania Rondo of Blood, which never was a thing really. Akumajo Dracula X Chino Rondo, which I do have actually. I should show it to you. So give me a second actually, but here it is. So this is the prequel to Symphony of the Night. Even though they're not similar at all in style, how they play, this is a very traditional action platformer, while Symphony of the Night is a action RPG more or less. But it's very good to have this, and the story behind this particular copy is something I'd love to tell as well, but that's for another time. So this game has both that and Symphony of the Night on it, so I would play them both. And it was so good on the PSP as well, because like I said, this was the first time Rondo of Blood was in English, and while they were at it, they actually not only remade that game, so this one has like the original Rondo of Blood and also a remade version, but it does have a remade version of Symphony of the Night. So this is not exactly like the one I remembered playing on the PlayStation. This has new voice acting, and the voice acting was pretty bad, I have to say, on the PlayStation. So the voice acting in this version is very, very welcome. I have to say, it's much better. And you know, by the time I got this copy, I had played all the Castlevanias on Game Boy Advance and on the DS, and they're like trying to be Symphony of the Night. and while I think they are all very, very good, and Dawn of Sorrow in particular might actually be even better. It's all down to personal preference, but you know, I love those games very, very much, and going from them back to Symphony of Night and actually playing it from start to finish and doing like not maybe 100% or it's a joke about 200% in the game actually. But I did almost everything, and it was so good with the new voice acting, because all the lines, they like, there's not a lot of dialogue in here, but you will remember most of it, and I did for sure. Like I could remember what all of the characters in Symphony of the Night said. So playing the remake on Dracula X Chronicles, it was cool because not only had they new voice actors, but they changed the script as well. So it was better in many ways. And as far as the image quality and stuff, I'm not sure. I haven't compared them since then, but it looked fine to me, and I would say this is the best way to play the game. The PSP is fucking amazing and all, as you might know. So next up, the game is also available on Xbox 360, and that's a version I got recently, actually, playing it on the Xbox One, and it's funny because it's the PlayStation version of the game, but they removed the CG cutscenes, which were not very important. They were more they were showing off the power of the PlayStation more than anything, and they're not very important to the story or anything. So that version is actually very good as well, and I saw it recently for €3 on the marketplace. So if you have a Xbox 360 or a Xbox One, you might want to go for that one if you haven't played the game. It's a really good one. But I guess that's all of my memories with that game for now. Or no, actually, I have one left. There's one one very funny story about Symphony of the Night that I still have to tell you guys. So yeah, let's go for it right away. So as you guys might know, I work at GameStop in Gothenburg here in Sweden, and I've been doing that for many years. But the store itself has been there for many more years. I actually bought games the first as a kid over there. So this was more than 15 years ago. I remember buying Pokemon Stadium 2 and Banjo-Tooie there, for example, for my Nintendo 64. But so where I'm going with this is that we recently moved. So this very nostalgic shop, which we've been having for so many years, we actually moved over to another. It's very close by. We just did a small change, but we still had to move everything over. And underneath a locker, so where we would put our clothes and stuff, was a copy of Symphony of the Night. How odd is that? It was so shocking. We would move everything, all the tables and this locker and stuff, and then a guy I work with, his name is Dennis. He would see a CD face down, so he was like, "Oh, what's this CD, or what's this game?" He picked it up and screamed, and or shouted, and I was in the next room, but I did see him. I wasn't that far away. I could see him doing all this. And when I saw his reaction, I got super excited to find out for myself what he found. And yeah, my reaction was pretty much the same thing. I got so surprised seeing it for real, because as I told you, I had seen a physical copy of it many years earlier, but yeah, I just thought this was very funny. So what happened was that he took the copy. It was very scratched and everything. I'm not even sure if it run or if it worked, but it was so cool because he was playing the game on his Android, because emulators is very easy to get nowadays. They've always been pretty easy for the PlayStation. Nothing too complicated getting a PlayStation game running on a PC, but it's cool that they work on phones and stuff nowadays. And he was playing Symphony of the Night on his tablet, on his Android device, in this what can I say, like in this period. So every like other lunch break, he would sit with his DualShock 3 playing Symphony of the Night on his tablet. So we thought it was very cool when we found the game, and I told him like, you should definitely have this now that you're playing the game and everything. So that was awesome. And even though it would be cool and fun to like have that particular disc in the collection, I probably would never play it and stuff. So now we have that memory documented at least. So that's great. But I guess that's it for Symphony of the Night for this time. If you have any like great memories with the game, please tell me down below. I'd love to hear them. So until next time, get gaming.